Yo, boys, how are we doing? We are but a few weeks away from the African Super Bowl. Dricus Duplessis, bro, I never said Usman was going to lose. I just said I was going to win. Completely different, bro. Totally different. Versus, I'm a problem. I don't really have another Usman impression. But it's fucking DDP versus Usman. This is an absolutely sick card, sick fight, sick main event. I love this. And I see these odds, minus 360, plus 280. Don't call me, guys, don't call me Kenny Okoye. I'm an America glazer, not a Nigeria glazer. But I truly do believe that this is a much closer fight than the odds are making it out to be. Dricus is about a 3-1 favorite. Dude, I think he should maybe be like minus 180. I don't think he should be anywhere near plus 300. We've been studying up. We've been doing our homework, taking the notes, doing the research, using the beakers and the fucking test tubes. And today we're going to be giving our breakdown of the fight. We're not going to be giving an official pick. But guys, we think Usman has a much better chance to win than the odds may reflect. Now, Brandon, what are your initial thoughts on this fight?
I mean, initially, when the fight first gets announced, I think initially you're all thinking, like, this should be a pretty easy win for Dricus. He's a lot bigger than Usman, like, by, like, a good margin, like, thicker-wise.
I did think the
And,
same thing.
like, initially you're thinking this is an easy win for Dricus, good way for him to get the title shot next.
Yeah, the Strickland trilogy. But listen, the more I think about this, I'm like, okay, the size advantage, Dricus is, see now Dricus is big, but I feel like we kind of play up how big he is. Like he is bigger than the other middleweights, but I don't think it's by this crazy margin. Also, Usman is one of the biggest welterweights on the roster. People don't give him enough credit for this. He was like the OG Michael Morales level weight bully. 6'1", 6 foot. They're both pretty fucking jacked. Usman's looking pretty thick. He's been out for almost a year over a year at this point, actually. At the time of the fight, it'll be over a year.
Yeah, last June.
He's been eating good. He's definitely been eating good on the podcast with frickin' Henry Cejudo. I'm getting goosebumps, dude. Getting goosebumps at you eating all that food, Usman. But yeah, he's been eating good. He's just as tall as Dricus. What's the reach difference? They have the same reach, similar leg reach, but it's not really that big of a deal. Usman's not too big of a kicker, which physically I feel like they're actually somewhat similar, to be honest. As crazy as that may sound, I feel like Usman kind of is the Dricus physically of the welterweight division, or at least he used to be. You know?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm coming from? Yeah. So I don't think Usman's gonna be like completely outgunned when it comes to the strength. And listen, a lot of people said that about Khamzat. A lot of people are like, Dricus is too big, too strong for Khamzat, and that just was not the case. And I know Khamzat Chimaev is a completely different matchup to Usman, but let's just get straight into it. Can Usman get the takedown? That's probably the biggest factor in this fight is can Kamaru Usman secure takedowns on Dricus Duplessis. And it's iffy, okay? Because he's not the wrestler that Khamzat Chimaev is. Nobody in the UFC is the wrestler that Khamzat Chimaev is. But Usman has some really good offensive wrestling, which he showed against Joaquin Buckley. Now, we found some similar sequences from the Khamzat Chimaev fight to the Joaquin Buckley fight, like the DDP versus Khamzat and then the Usman versus Buckley. We found some somewhat similar sequences that we're going to try to compare as best we can. But I think that's going to be Usman's game plan. Okay, I think Trevor Whitman, he's going to be out there doing the fucking X's and the O's, the beakers and test tubes like Corey Sandhagen, man. And I think he's going to look at Dricus, look at his last performance and say, listen, this guy got smudged for 5 rounds. Look at Usman's last performance. We smudged for 5 rounds. So, if you had asked me a year ago, 2 years ago, who wins this fight, I'd be like, oh, Dricus what? Of course Dricus is going to win. Dricus is going to absolutely, like, right after the Strickland fight. Right after the Strickland 2 fight, I'd be like, Dricus fucking destroys Usman. No doubt. Usman has zero chance. What is he going to do? But he showed me against Joaquin Buckley. He still got it when it comes to the offensive wrestling. So, we're going to be looking at some timestamps here. Let me move my camera.
If I could just hop in here, though.
Yeah.
You say, like, Hamza and Usman, they have a very different wrestling strategy. But, I mean, wrestling style. But I think their finishing capability is so much wider also.
That's
to
true.
The point of where, like, we haven't seen Dricus just accept position like he did against Hamza.
That's true.
Before.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm just saying I think this is going to be Usman's game plan. So the first question that pops into my head is, can he get the takedown? If that's your game plan, is to go out there and spam takedowns, the first question is, can you get them? Once that question is answered, then you start talking about everything else, I feel like. You know?
Yeah.
So, let's look at it. Let's look at this for Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. So, they're striking out in the open. Buckley blitzes in. This is like a Dricus type of combo, by the way. It's a little bit crisper than Dricus would throw it, but. So right here, boom. He misses one punch. Usman slips under it. Buckley gets double unders. Usman uses that physicality advantage, drives him to the fence. And he takes his legs out from under him. Now, I don't know how well you guys could see that because I did. You guys can see it pretty good. I'm just checking how the recording looks. Now, I've got a somewhat similar sequence. Obviously, Hamza and Usman's wrestling styles are completely different, right? But I have a sequence where Dricus gets driven up to the fence. Dricus here does not have double unders, but he does get taken to the fence. So, Hamzat shoots. Just out completely from nowhere. Gets Dricus up to the cage. Goes lower. And he takes him down. Dricus scrambles, gets to the back. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I feel like these sequences are pretty different. But there's one key similarity. And it's that they both drove them up against the fence, and then the fence was where they found their success because their opponent could not effectively sprawl any longer because that was the defense that they were both going for. Like, you can see Dricus is going traditional. He's going cuff and stuff. He's trying to stuff Hamzat, but unfortunately for Dricus, he's levitating, so he can't do it very effectively. And Buckley was also trying to stuff it. Like, he's also trying to sprawl. If I can get it. He just wasn't very good at it, you know, but they both got pushed up to the fence. Can Usman do this same thing to Dricus? I think he will be able to. I think he'll be able to, just not 100% of the time. I don't think he's going to be able to do this at 100% clip. But I think if they're both fresh, I think Usman can get at least one of these. I just think he's going to have to set it up with the striking a little bit better than he did with Hamzat. He was landing, some 1-2s on Buckley. He made it a little bit competitive on the feet. Enough to set up his takedowns. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, and also, I mean, just looking at this Buckley fight again, it's also making me think Buckley is, in my opinion, so much worse at takedown defense than Dricus is also. Yeah. So we all know how Buckley's next fight goes also.
That's true.
So seeing Usman land these takedowns, it's very good that he was landing at a very high success in controlling Buckley, but it's also just making me think of, like, how hard is it to really do that to Buckley?
Yeah, I'm trying to find our next one here. Oh, yeah, it was when Buckley got the butterfly guard. So Dricus, we don't have this timestamp, but Dricus did do a really good job with, like, half guard and butterfly guard against Derek Brunson. And now, I think Usman can get the takedown somewhat. Like, I think it's definitely possible. But I think Dricus can get back up. And I'm not saying he's going to get up immediately. Usman does have a little bit of control. I mean, I know Buckley isn't the greatest grappler of all time, right? But neither is Dricus. Dricus isn't the greatest grappler ever either. And Usman was able to control Buckley. Like, if we go to right here, where is it? I think Dricus can get up from here, but I think it's going to be a little difficult. He was in similar positions in the Khamzat Chimaev fight, like literally the entirety of round 2. It's just Usman is not the jiu-jitsu artist Khamzat is. You know what I mean? I think Usman can do this, and I think he can see like this entire round. Dricus is in this exact same spot. And Usman actually has a little bit better control here than Khamzat did because he has his arms wrapped around his legs, whereas Khamzat only has it around his body. Khamzat's even trying to take the back, which I don't think Usman's going to be able to do. But I think Usman can replicate this. You know, I think there's things Usman can learn from to make this fight competitive. Like, I don't think Dricus is going to go out there and completely run through him, shuck off every takedown like it's absolutely nothing. I think Usman will be able to get at least a couple. But I think Dricus can get back up. And we're going to see this in a second. Trying to find where it is. Buckley is in half guard here. Goes for a butterfly guard somewhere. Yeah, right here. Yeah, right here. Buckley gets butterfly guard, and he's able to push Usman off of him. Yeah, right here. Look. He's able to... Even Buckley, the level of grappler Buckley is, he's able to push Usman off him. It's just Usman gets back on him immediately. He coils Buckley back up, I believe. Yeah. And he's able to get back to close guard. So I think in that position, we don't have the Derek Brunson fight up, but Dricus was able to do similar things to Derek Brunson, who at the time, and Dricus was much worse at the time as well. At the time, Derek Brunson was probably a similar level of jiu-jitsu, like pure jiu-jitsu, that Usman is right now. Because Usman's not really like... That's not really his goal. That's not his bread and butter, right? So I think Dricus can push him off to initiate a scramble, and Usman does not have the submission threat that Khamzat does. Not even fucking close. Like, nowhere near. So Dricus is not going to be afraid to scramble. We've never seen him afraid to scramble before. I also do want to mention, we don't have this pulled up either, Whitaker was able to take down Dricus. So saying that Usman is not able to take down Dricus, that's completely heinous when fucking Whitaker was able to do it. But it was not a grappler at all. But I think Dricus can get back up. And then that leaves the question, how is the fight on the feet? Which we'll talk about back here. But Brandon, what do you have to add about the grappling overall?
Yeah, I mean, Usman, he has good control, but I know we're about to start with the feet, but I do see this fight standing a good, decent bit.
So do I. Which is why I was saying Dricus can get back up. He can definitely stuff a few takedowns. I just don't think he'll stuff 100% of them.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add about the grappling personally, but I'd say we can kick it off with on the feet.
So on the feet, we watched back a decent bit of the Strickland 2 fight. We didn't watch Strickland 1, but in Strickland 1, Sean Strickland was able to use the jab so well. And I know Sean Strickland has probably the best jab in the UFC, but Usman has a really good jab as well. If there's one thing Usman's good at on the feet, it's his fucking jab. So I think he can land the jab on the feet. I have to move my camera back, don't I? I think Usman can land the jab at least enough to make it competitive, you know? The thing with Dricus, though, Dricus is an underratedly good game planner. Like, Dricus can, besides against Khamzat, but like the Strickland 2 fight, he came in with a completely different game plan. He was spamming kicks, right? He was going oblique kick. That's important. Usman, like, I know Usman plays up the bad knees thing. Everybody plays up the bad knees thing with Usman. And we're kind of coming around to the fact that, okay, his knees are not that bad. But they're still not good, right? The oblique kicks are going to slow him down. Leg kicks are going to slow him down. Drickus has great high kicks as well. He has fucking crescent kicks in his arsenal. I know he's a Looney Tunes fighter, but he has good techniques. I think in the boxing, they will have a somewhat competitive boxing match that Drickus will get the better of, but I think the kicks is where he's really going to separate himself on the feet. Brandon did bring up to me earlier that he may throw less kicks due to fear of the takedown than he did against Strickland, which is probably true. But Strickland's also a better striker than Usman. So I think Usman will have a harder time dealing with the kicks. Like we saw him against your like sex buddy Leon, your little like gay friend or whatever. Leon had a lot of success. Leon had a lot of success with the body kicks in their third fight, which I think Drickus can replicate. And I know he's going to be a little bit more wary of the takedown threat, but Leon had to be wary of the takedown threat too.
Yeah, I mean, Leon outclassed him, but like we saw, Usman, he's quite chinny to the high kick there. I mean, hopefully, like you said, Drickus lands a lot of kicks. He lands a lot of body kicks. Yeah, lands a lot of body kicks also, which, like you said, worked good for Leon in the third fight. And he just throws at a high volume.
He does.
But he doesn't have the putting away power necessarily.
He may. We might see Usman move up to middleweight and he just can't take Drickus' power. Maybe he crumbles, maybe he folds. I don't think so. Listen, when we see guys move up one division, they're usually fine. Like, they can usually deal with the power. And Drickus has some pop. He has some thud, but who do we see him holding with one shot? Nobody really.
Yeah, so and I'm not... And I don't think Usman's power will be at any danger moving up. Like, I don't think he's going to be, like, all of a sudden have, like, good power, like, pretty good power moving up. I don't see Drickus being too worried about that. And I mean, I just feel like Drickus is going to put on such a high volume on the feet. And just, I don't know why I'm going back to this now. Just looking back at like the Hamzat fight, he had good takedown defense on some of the takedowns that Hamzat did land that I think would have stuffed Usman's, and Usman would not have been able to land the takedown in the ways of Hamzat landing it.
Yeah, that's true. We're actually going to go back to that. You do bring up a great point. There was another takedown that I wanted to look at here. It was this one at 601.
I have a 601 and 1109 for you.
This one right here. So, Drickus gets... he gets an overhook right here. He tries to stuff the head of Hamzat again, the exact same way he did the first time. But let's look at this. So he goes here. Usman's not getting this. Usman's standing back up in this position. Hamzat Chimaev, he hunts the takedown because his life depends on it. Usman is competent enough on the feet, and also he's not like... He's not going to continue the takedown in this position. You know what I mean? Usman's just not that guy. He's not ferociously trying to get the takedown. If it gets... We saw in the Buckley fight, when Buckley would stuff a takedown, like in the 5th round, for example, Usman would stand back up, strike for a little bit, go back to it later. You know, it's like, I'm going to go back to it later. I'm not going to chain wrestle. Usman is not one of these Dagestanis that's going to chain wrestle. You know? He's more just like, okay, I'm going to shoot a blast double leg. If I don't get it, I don't get it. I'll go back to it in a minute. But I'm not going to keep trying. I'm not going to keep going for it. But we see Hamzat here. He keeps going. And eventually he gets it. But the thing is, in this position, I don't think Usman has the control that Hamzat does. So I think Drickus can stand back up. I don't know how well you guys could see what I was just saying. I was talking about this. Okay? Because I didn't move my camera. Sorry. This is a disaster class. But here. This is what I was talking about. Usman is not... He's not finishing this. This is what I was pointing to. He's not finishing this. Okay? So let's put my camera back. The thing is, in the first fight with Sean Strickland, I understand Strickland's a higher level striker than Usman. He was able to fuck Dricus up with the jab really badly. Like, Dricus, every piece of damage that was on Dricus' face was from the jab. Usman has one of the most underrated jabs in sport. He has a very good jab. That's the one strike that he's elite at. So I think he can land the jab too. So I don't think it's one-way traffic on the feet. I don't think it's just going to be like an easy TKO. I could see a TKO for Dricus. It's possible, but I don't think it's going to be easy. You know what I mean? Usman's definitely going to be a tough out. I just, like, the whole point of this video, I don't think the odds are reflective. I've given my analysis. Brandon, do you have anything left?
Nah, I don't have too much to add. I mean, like you said, we don't think the odds are reflective, but we're not necessarily picking Usman yet. We're still early out from the fight. We don't know our official picks yet, but we are providing here, like, how Usman can succeed.
Yeah.
Not like that this is what is going to happen, but
yeah,
this is how we are thinking Usman can succeed in this fight.
All right. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you boys in the next one. Bye-bye.